Hello Blender folks, welcome and welcome back. This is Gnomes. Today we're gonna do the extras for the control rig, the mechanism rig of the arm here. And so I've made a lot of progress in the workshop, this model of online workshop. I think it is working, but in relation to the past one, I'm gonna make a much better now. So gonna go straight. I have a script here, and so if you don't have the file, the blend file and the mini player or another secondary monitor, but usually I do this for the mini player, so you won't be able to follow, but you can, since it will be published anyways, so you can watch it later and make it later, do it later, right? Like a workshop. So what we have, we're starting from where we left before. And so this rig here has already lots of stuff. So it's a compound rig. And we are gonna make today, start on stage 1. So the first scene here, we're gonna start with the to-do list here is just the inverse kinematic settings for the control skeleton. So these blue ones. So basically what we need here is to be able to see the bone relations. So it's an overlay on pose mode, edit mode, right? This one. So I have the shortcut Control Q, right? I already assigned this. So basically we can see, let's see, why can't I see? Hold on. Yeah, so you see this thing there. So it's yes, but it's not working. Let's go on. Okay, here you see some of them. Okay, it's because I don't have too many bones showing here, and these ones have connected parenting, so you don't see the dashed lines. So we need to build this inverse kinematic setting. So let's go to the layout workspace, is the default one, right? So this inverse kinematics panel. So let's start on object mode here. Select the armature object here, or double click this collections, or even if it's closed, if it's just have one object. So then, or just click here. If you cannot grab it, hold Alt and left mouse button, click it, and then armature necromancer, this one. Okay, shift, just click that, and let's go to, let's close this, collapse this. Let's control tab to pose mode. So now let's make sure we enable this relationship line. So I have this Control Q here, all right? Then we are gonna show how this works. Basically, this only works for inverse kinematics, but we need to go on the properties editor. Just works on pose mode. On edit mode, it doesn't show here, right? So we need to be on pose mode in order to make those additions. Then there's inverse kinematics panel. So you decollapse it. And so, for example, let's say if I get a limit X and a limit Z. So this shows up for this bone, not for this bone, just for this bone. So the limit Y axis doesn't show, unfortunately. It's just the limit X and Z. We're gonna use them both, and we can change these values so you can get this kind of shield-like thing, right? Very cool gizmo, I think, but not a gizmo. Okay, it doesn't reset to the originals, but originals will be like this, okay? And here, very important before we start. So this will respond, the bone that has these inverse kinematics will respond to auto I key option. So let's open the sidebar region here, collapse this. Let's look for the tool tab, and there is pose options. It's auto I key. So this settings here, even if they are grayed out, those settings here, even if they are grayed out, the bones here will respond to it if we use auto IK option. So for example, let's grab here with this setting on, right? G. So let's change here the auto IK length. Now it's 1. Let's augment it with the mouse wheel scroll to roll down, right? So now it's 2. Okay. So I'm able to do this, right? And this varies according to the camera angle. So it's very, very interesting, right? What we can do with that. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so I'm still having this auto IK length of 2, right? You can see from here. And now we're gonna pick this bone, and we're gonna use these limits here. Let's zero this. I'm using numpad 0. So just catching everything here. If we check this now on the okay, actually we need to augment a little, otherwise there is nothing. You see the blue line circle starts to appear, right? And here start to create the shield. All right. So just by playing with this, we can have some variations here, all right? And now if I pick this, we'll see that this bone is not responding. You see, it's because it is reaching the threshold here, there. And because I'm grabbing this with auto IK option, this is an IK behavior, right? The limit. So you see, even though it is grayed out, it works for inverse kinematics. In the case of bones which have an IK bone constraint, you see it's not grayed out. It's because I have an IK bone constraint in the hand. This one doesn't have, but this is just because the IK bone constraint chain length, it uses hold on, let's get the bone collections here. Skeleton, so there's just this bone here. So this bone is called the mechanism IK owner. So this one, as you see, I'm not using use tail option. So it's calculating from its head position, not from its tail position. And this is a bone, a mechanism bone that is on the hand. It is not on the forearm, right? I already showed that, so I'm just explaining here so that we know what we're doing a little better. So you see, this has these things. They will happen to the inverse kinematics posing, right? They will respond. The bone will respond to these values here that we are gonna build. We're gonna make these settings better. And even though this one is grayed out, it doesn't matter because this is just because of the I think this is incorrect, right? But it's how it works. If I augmented the chain length to the shoulder, then now this is not grayed out, right? As if I go back to normal, because we don't want the IK owner to go back to the shoulder. We want it to go back just until here as usual. So then as we go here, it is grayed out. So I say, but it means nothing, because this bone here, if we have set up things here, it will respond to auto IK posing, and both to auto IK posing and to IK bone constraint posing, right? And so it will respond to both. Of course, there is some sort of how to say, interference of the I key bound constraint in the auto I key option, which is unfortunate, but there are workarounds, and so they can be worked. They can function together. As for this bound here, there is nothing here that there's no I key bound constraint on the head, for example, that is affecting it now, so it's totally free. It is just for I key posing, and for now there's nothing here, right? So let's start at once, and we're gonna start forearm, then the upper arm, and then the shoulder, because even if the shoulder is not part of the inverse kinematics of the I key bound constraint, it is still, we can still use the settings for the auto I key option. So what I'm gonna do here is gonna get these pose options. You know that I have this shortcut here, Alt X, as I've assigned here, and you can assign right mouse button click change or assign shortcut, right? And we're gonna snap this right mouse button click pin. Yeah, we're gonna pin these pose options so it's easy to find. We're gonna bring these bound collections to the top, the pose options to the right below, and that's it for pose. So select all. Alt Q is my setting for pose menu transform. Now clear transforms, this one, right? Clear transform all. Okay, so I've made Alt Q, but you can make any shortcut that you prefer, but it's a very important shortcut. So I don't know why there isn't a default in Blender key mapping, but okay, let's start here. So basically, remember, we need the relationship lines. For me, it's Control-2, right? So then we can see and edit those things. So need to go on select the bone, just the bone of the forearm, and let's not reset this, just take this off for now. Yes, we are gonna make some stiffness that will make the bone more resistant to certain angles of posing, but we'll start doing that later because it will be better to visualize. We'll start with the main rotation, right, which is along the x-axis, so the bone will be doing this thing, right? So the main direction of, maybe an orientation of bending for the forearm, right? We'll start with the limit x, and my recommendation here, if we're doing this for the first time, or if we are trying to make a cartoon rig, don't go for weird values. Like, try to get some values that are very easy to remember. And so, for example, multiples of 15 degrees, multiples of 30 degrees. I mentioned 15 degrees because it's half of 30 degrees. So it's a little easier to, sometimes it's more useful. It's the only thing that will be more approximate to reality, organic thing. So we don't need to be like broken values, everything we can have, but you see, we just want straight values. So we want some rounded up values will help. If you really need something very specific, they're doing anatomic works and stuff like that, or you want to be very precise, then sure. But so we are starting for the main direction of bending, and to realize what it is, because this bone is affected by the I key bone constraint. Unfortunately, some bones here will have a hard time being posed. Just to check the when it grows. So look for so what we're gonna do here, we need to change here to local. Could be normal, but let's use local. And so I have a shortcut for this, is backslash. So you can easily, sorry, shift backslash. this girl-less here, but I don't know why. Shift backslash is the button right next to the left shift or the Z button. So it's very easy to find. So to very automatic to shift backslash and then local, right? And then shift backslash back to global. Okay, so local here, and let's rotate. It's already rotating on the local, but we need to specify the X, so X. And so now, but you see, it doesn't work. You see, it's a rotation along x-axis, but it's being disrupted because of the IK bound constraint. I won't delete or disable the bound constraint for that. What I'm gonna do is that I'm going to go on edit mode. So tab to edit mode, and now we're gonna rotate X along local, same thing, right? So sorry, ask, so rotate X, and we have the same problem. Okay, so yeah, so because of that, all right, so I remember there is, okay, so maybe we can find, this is not optimal, but we can probably just do this from here, because if you see, if I rotate in this direction, we see there that it is augmenting, and if I rotate in the opposite counterclockwise, you see it's reducing, right? So okay, so this is the positive and this is the negative. So the way to find out is just inverse kinematics panel on the bound tab, right? So just let's I said that the negative X will be backwards, yeah, so let's just reduce, and that's correct, you see. So I'm grabbing here, the holding left mouse button, dragging, right, left the slider button here, and I can get some value here, and you see that real time the red arc is changing. So the maximum, unfortunately, it's this, the minimum in this case, right? We can't do something crazy like that. So we need to go, apparently inverse kinematics has this threshold limit of 180 degrees, positive and negative. So it's like, it can't, if it bends beyond that, it goes nuts, right? It goes nuts apparently. So here what we want for this, something about, we want the breaking of the joint for animation concept. So we want something like negative 30 degrees. So see, just place that and press enter, and that's good enough. We can't make a positive value here. The minimum, the maximum is 0. So negative 30. And here for the, now how do we test this? So in my rig, in this custom rig, there are two ways to test if this is working. So first we can, so reset pause, okay, so grab the master here, right? The master, by the way, let's take off this axis, Control 3 for me. If you're not sure, just go to the tab here of the armature object, the data, right? Then we go on viewport display, and you can add a shortcut here for the, what it is, yeah, so the axis here. So I have Control 3 here. For shapes, custom shapes, I have Control 4, and for names I have Control 1. So you see, I can easily do all those swappings, toggles, and that's great. And now, so by the ways, this is for Blender 4.5 only, of version of Blender. No, sorry, this is the generic one. For me, this shortcut here is Shift Control Alt B. So I can Shift Control Alt B, and I can change the overall look of all the bones, right? But for me it's B bone in principle. But then if you go to the bone tab in Blender view in Blender 4.5 LT, which is an LTS version, we have this display as, which is individual per bone. So this also I have shortcut this as Shift Alt B. So it's instead of Shift Control Alt B for all the bones, no, it's Shift Alt B. That works. And so here I can change just for a single bone. So that's great thing now for rigging in Blender and animation as well. And so let's get major improvement here on rigging. Good life. So here we continue here what I was doing. The panels here. So now we're gonna, we need to pose. You see the red arc going negative. So one way to pose, click, let's select this bone here. Yeah, unfortunately we don't see here. Then we're gonna, because I don't have a pole target yet in the, just showing here, because I don't have a pole target assigned yet in this rig, and it might, there's two options, we'll see that later, without and with a pole target. But because I don't have it, it's much easier to do the trick right now, or not that is. So I grab this bone. You see that we've made this bone just as the typical way of using pole target. So this will influence, of course, the inverse kinematics posing. So I need to stretch it, right? I need to, stretch the limb. I need to stretch the limb. And then I need to find an angle of the screen where I can try to compress it and rotate in the wrong direction. This won't work spontaneously with Ike bone constraint because the rest position, depth to rest position, is this one, right? But if I, let's do this, accept the pose, then let's pick this bone and let's rotate just a little like here. And now let's grab it again, the master Ike hand, and you see it's something starting to break. Let's do a little more. And you see we can do this. I can also shift click, shift select this. And now we see the arc. And although I can't really get the orientation that I want, it is, if I grab them simultaneously, it doesn't matter which one is the last in the selection. You see that there is, I cannot push more than that. So this is evidence, although it's just a visual angle here that we don't see, but you see I cannot break the joint more than that just because of the setting. And by the way, just to make sure, yes, I was using Auto IQ option, but it's not necessary. Let's turn it off and let's reset the pose again. Select all and Alt Q. Let's try again. I select the master IQ hand. Let's do this and let's rotate, try to invert the, right? Rotate here visually, right? Then, so I'm trying to bend this in the wrong way by the visual rotation here, right? Oh, by the way, actually, sorry, I was looking at view, right? Maybe we, no, yeah, it's the same thing. So it's sort of, let's go back to local. Grab the, sorry folks, here a bit confused. So let's try, yeah, so you see, because of the attempt of rotating the bone, the forearm backwards, I was able to set that, to sort of realign this, the rest position, right, in a way that it will be edible, or not edible, enabled to be rotated backwards. But because there is this limit, so now something funny, we go back here with the forearm bones selected. Let's swap this and we'll be able to see real time changes because I'm augmenting the negative limit. So if I augment it to 0, so there's no negative limit, so no break of the joint possible, at least not from inverse kinematics alone. So we want to go back to the negative 30. So you see, this is very interesting. So we can also de-rotate, and then we fix this madness. So it's very easy to, well, not very easy, but it's not too hard to get the break of the joint thing. So so one thing is to pose the bone individually, trying to match it, but usually what I do is that I grab this, then I get this, and then I try to pick them both and try to, yeah, apparently we need some rotation here, and see here. Yeah, so usually I pick them all together because it's better, because then we do all at once. So like grab, let's select all, reset all, Alt Q, A, and then Alt Q, right? A and Alt Q. So okay, Alt A to deselect all. Let's grab the master eye key bone of the hand, and then let's grab Shift left click the forearm control bone, grab them to stretch, rotate like along the view here. You see what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to rotate backwards, and then grab and try to break. Yeah, they are break of the joint, exactly. So it's not perfect, but it does the job. So we can then probably you can do other stuff to yeah, attention here, hold Shift if it's too harsh, then we can get some pose. Of course, these are just for some angles, so it's not it's a bit tricky to have then to fix. Select the master, select the control, rotate. We can also try to use the cursor. So for example, I have this shortcut here, remember, backslash 3D cursor. Let's Shift S to active, cursor to active, or just Shift right mouse button click anywhere like here. Yeah, Shift S3, this is safer. Then let's rotate here. So you see here, this can also work to get something more precise, right? So kind of funny, but okay, we can break the joint, right, with this technique. Okay, and so this is good to, if you want more breaking of the joint, then of course augment that. Okay, let's select all, Alt Q. Now let's do the opposite direction, the main direction of bending of this forearm. And so here we see that this is going like by default 180 degrees. This is probably not anatomically correct. It might be impossible for normal people, but let's get here what I suggest, 170 degrees positive. So it's just less than the maximum. And how to test this? Well, to test this, we need to grab the master bone and try to do as much as we can here, and this can be a bit hard to see, to visualize. If I need to select the other bone to see. Need to try to compress them, and you see that sort of the angle sometimes is not easy, but I think this is about this. This is that amount of angle. You see it start to behave differently. Also, you can select the bone again, only the forearm. Then let's go back here and let's change this. Let's reduce. Shift X. This is not okay here. So I need to reduce it a lot in order to see results. For some reason, probably I'm bending it in other directions, so I'm not really seeing it very well right now. But the idea is to leave it for cartoony, right, or more interesting posing. Maybe you want a multiple of 15 degrees, so 165. I think this is better. So select all, Alt Q. So what we can do also is maybe select, let's shift select the control bones that we want, these two, the forearm and the upper arm, then shift click the master and shift H. All right, so let's try to just do this. Oh, sorry, forgot. Another thing that we might want to do here, maybe this helps. Let's unhide everything, Alt H. Let's grab this, also let's backslash back to individual origins here. Select the neck bone and rotate along the X and rotate backwards like that, and that's it. Yeah, this will help, maybe will help a little. So grab the master arm. Oh yeah, we can try this. Select the, instead the up forearm, shift S3, again backslash 3D cursor, grab the master and shift click the forearm, rotate X. You see I'm on local, and apparently something is a bit weird. It looks like I'm being able to go RX beyond the threshold. Let's see. Yes, so I'm having some trouble here figuring out why this is not respecting, doesn't seem to be, it seems to be going too far. But I suspect it's just because, let's lock the Z and the Y. So it only moves in one way, right? In one orientation. Yeah, so I think this will be what it is, what it should be doing. Let's try again. Let's select here and let's... Okay, so I do not understand. It is not really behaving correctly. So let's leave it like that. When I did on my own, it was working. So select all and reset. Let's select here the end panel and let's go here to the bone collection. If you don't have the bone manager extension, it's free, it's inbuilt. Get extension. If you don't have the add-on, you just use instead the bone collections here in the tab. And so let's hide this, take off this star here from the mechanism skeleton, right? We don't need that. Okay, let's go back to the, yeah, to the thing here. So we select the forearm control bone, select the bone tab. Let's go on inverse kinematics here. And now, okay, let's assume this is working, right? Even though I'm not totally sure why it is failing. Now, for the limit Y, this is a little bit trickier, but my suggestion, if you try to roll your arm, your forearm in this direction and in this direction, you see that it goes quite wild, right? So it's not exactly a wrist twisting, it's the whole arm or forearm twisting. So from the joint here, from the elbow. So what you see that this, it's quite interesting how the amount of rotation it gets from the, so control 3 from the y-axis. So here this will be quite complicated to realize because we don't see, okay, on the local RY. Okay, so right now it is limitless apparently, but we're gonna, yeah, enable it. Let's get a minimum to -90 degrees. and see what it does. So rotate Y, and here we can see rotate R, Y, that as I go here it goes negative, and see here it stopped. This is happening, this is respecting the rotation, because remember, the I key bone constraint affects this bone and this bone, besides the hand bone, which is in the I key chain, which is the mechanism I key owner, which is here. So, but because this, it is connected, parented with this tree, so it's like a continuation, but it's highly bone constraint. Remember, copy rotation, copy I key, I key bone constraint, sorry, and copy rotation. It's so much engaged in those bone constraints that it's useless to have, for it to have anything here. It just it will be overridden anyways, most likely. So it's not necessary to provide this mechanism bone, this inverse kinematic settings. So let's go back here, and so we already see that R, Y, this is the negative, and if you go beyond, you're gonna crush the inverse kinematics settings, and it will extrapolate and reach the opposite side, I guess. I go nuts. I shouldn't be supposed to be doing that. So this rotation is not auto I key thing, is just happening because this bone is on the I key bone constraints I key chain, right? And if you roll on the other, rotate on the R, Y on the other direction, we see that it is positive. And here it doesn't have a limit. Yeah, the limit is 180 degrees. R, let's get closer here. R, Y, it sort of swaps crazily for some reason. So instead, we get this max to 90 degrees. Just so that is like a simplification. Apparently, anatomically, it seems to me that this rotation R, Y, this one goes much more, or quite more, than this one. You can test in your own arm. It looks to me, but so these values are just a simplification and easy to remember, because also the limit Y, I think, is the hardest to figure out. I'm not even sure how it really works with the, it doesn't seem to be very responsive anyway. So it's like, it's the least useful of them unless you're doing something very, very specific. But in principle, this, if you want to have, yeah, okay, let's give this limit so it exists. And we know that it is respecting them because we have tested, right? For auto I key option and panel, let's get here, Alt X for me, collapse N. We don't need the, so let's go back to the / individual origins. The grabbing is what will cause the limits to occur on posing, not rotating, not scaling. So this won't cause auto I key option to work. It is just grabbed bone, so with G. So that means that this one rotation is just happening because of the I key bone constraint, another I key chain. So it's not the auto I key chain. The auto I key chain, you'll need to find a way to rotate everything in a way that that you'll have this thing, like maybe something like this, and then it will eventually, you'll start to get a lot of rotation along the y-axis. But it's kind of tricky, right, to get this y axis to be responsive. But anyways, we will only see with not with the rotation here. This will not do anything. Proof here. I grab this bone and let's give it limit y here to 0. Rotate y. You see, it's just rotating normally as if there were no limit, right? And this is because, as I mentioned, is the I-key bound constraint that is causing it. Okay, so let's continue here. So this is the default here, like very simple. We're gonna do the same for the upper arm and for the shoulder. So we're gonna just select the shoulder bone, select the upper arm bone, and select the lower arm bone, which hold shift, right, while clicking. And then let's right mouse button click limit X. So copy to selected. Same for this value, minimum. Right mouse button click, copy to selected. And maximum, limit Y, copy to selected. So now let's check. Click anywhere. So select these ones. So, okay, we see the values here. -90, +90 on a validated limit X. Limit Y, sorry. The next one, same things, although it is grayed out, it will still work. And as for this one, the shoulder, same thing. All right. So now this one might be a little different because its bone rolls are different. It's I think it's the same direction. So R, Y on the shoulder bone. So this is the negative, so same thing, and this is the positive. All right, so nothing new. So we're gonna keep this because what matters is the original rest position, right? So it doesn't matter if the rolls are different. It's a transform, right, on pose mode. So it's still be the same positive, negative, positive, the same amount. Okay. We can change that later, but okay, let's go back here. Now let's do the Z, limit Z. So enable the limit Z. And now let's, this one is what I would suggest is the upper arm is, no, sorry, the forearm. Here it will be a lot more than rotating downwards. So select Alt Q. We're gonna select the forearm here. We're gonna start to select, and this could be about -15 or -30, sorry, -30 degrees. Yes, this sounds an okay value to me. Might be too much, but for cartoony, right, this is also a brick of the joint. So now in order to check this, we're gonna select the master hand and shift select the this bone. We're gonna grab and bring them right to stretch, and then we're gonna try to rotate. You see, we start to get, no, sorry, not rotating, but so I didn't need to rotate here. I just select all, reset. Let's do this again. Select the master hand and shift select the forearm, stretch, which is a grab, and then grabbing and try to collapse in the direction of the, try to break on that direction. And you see the grab, you see that we can't really get through that threshold. So it's really working. And we also there's some region, right? So all this it start to sometimes to float along this the limits, right? Sometimes, grab. So here start to get this behavior. Okay, so it's working. We are able to break the joint here, and on this direction, stretch here, validate, and then start to collapse on the other direction. Okay, you see that it is going until it goes nuts when it gets closer to 180 degrees. So we know that this is the positive because select all, Alt Q, with clear all transforms, right? Because if we rotate along the z-axis, we see that this is going negative, and rotate z along local z, you see this is going positive. So yes, and rotate y, just to remember, sorry, rotate y, positive, and rotate y, negative, yes. So you see we can, as for the x-axis, Rx, here we need actually this angle, yeah, Rx, sorry, here, Rx, this is positive, and this will be negative, even though the motion is not very clear, right? Select all, Alt Q, just to be sure. Okay, so now we still need to fix the positive limit z. So we're gonna change this value. So here I would suggest 150 positive degrees. So we're gonna select the master hand and the forearm control, grab, and we are trying to reach here that threshold. It's not clear, so let's validate, but let's rotate the viewport, orbiting, right? Trying to find, maybe this is a bit too much, but I think this is actually not bad for cartoony. This looks like good to have the stuff like that, right? So, and here, very interesting. Well, maybe this could be a little less, but if here, you see, I think I'm having the same problem that I was having with the limit x in the main direction of bending, right? But for some reason, but let's reduce this value and see how it starts to, right? So we can play with that. So I'm gonna leave that 150 degrees, and that will be it. So select all, Alt Q to reset, clear all transforms. All right, so the forearm is ready. So you see, it's not too complicated, but if you have never done this before, you're confused with how this works and trying to find the direction of the rolls of the transforms, this is really tedious, and the limit y doesn't show this shield thing, the arcs. So there are many things that are a bit hard to develop. It's hard to test also, as you have seen. It's not too hard to test, but it can be tricky. So now let's go for the upper arm, and this one we're gonna make, so I already have the limit x, which doesn't show. We're gonna start again with this angle here, and we're gonna start by augmenting the positive. Okay, we see that the positive is behind, right? And so for here, I would suggest quite amount of bending here, possibility of extrapolation. So something like beyond an atomic, right? So I would suggest negative 120 degrees. So negative 100 type there. All that, yeah. So why all that? Well, because, so grab the arm here. Well, because it's cool to have some exaggerated pose, right? So here, select the the hand. Let's control 3 to hide this axis. Let's limit all these bones here that we're seeing. Shift select the upper arm, lower arm and the upper arm. Shift H to hide everything else. Let's grab this and the upper arm. So we're gonna try to see. Yeah, so you see what's happening. Okay, so we see that we're having some kind of good results here. Alt H. Let's select again. Just I need to make sure. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. Here I'm a little mistake. It's because of the I key, auto I key option. You see, it's on. Turn it off, right? So it will not interfere with the what we're trying to do here. So I'm posing individually. No, okay. Grab this. And apparently, I'm not totally sure why. Okay, because okay, I see. It's because when I was grabbing this bone all together without the auto IQ option, with this I can extrapolate. So it's a special trick. So my word knowing, right? But anyways, with the auto I key, then they will tend to respect, but it's a bit crazy here. Okay, so also let's. Oh, also sorry. The auto I key length was more than 1 also, but you see the same thing here. Yeah, never mind, folks. So here, just grab this and try to get to see visually where the bone goes, right? The upper arm bone, right? So okay, so this is why I think this is enough. Besides the fact that if we grab the shoulder can have an automation as well. That should be even go more. So you can. Sometimes the best way is to, let's reset here. Sometimes the best way is to do an exaggerated pose, right? Something like that. And then we grab here and get and change here. And then you can sort of see where is a good limit. So for me, you see that here is where it starts to contradict, right? To cause effect, right? You see about exactly where I left, so about negative 120. So this is a multiple of 30, so that is good to go. Then Alt select all and clear all transforms. This one is a bit tougher to make. So it's when the arm rotates. This is very easy to go crazy. Oh, select all, clear. Sorry. Let's grab this other bone. Let's panel here. Sorry, hide the mechanism. Let's, if you have it, let's grab this bone instead, because it will rotate the hand altogether, so it's a bit better to visualize. All right, we got stuff here. It's more beautiful also. Then we can, yeah, you can click the master arm. Let's try to stretch here. You see, start to behave a bit crazy. Then what we can do here is select the neck, RX, and do this. Okay, so here we can, this will help a little to get this thing. So you can select the hand here, rotate. We can try to rotate, get the hand into a better, easier position to visualize, and see, start to get this bone. You see, start to behave very crazy, but at the same time, you see usually the shoulder would rotate here a little like that. So so it don't really matter here. Reset the shoulder. We're trying to do this ignoring the shoulder, right? Just trying to visualize, right, what will be a good value for the upper arm. Remember, so click here. So here I would suggest for the limit z positive of the upper arm a 165. So same as the 165 of the lower arm. So it's like instead of 180 degrees, which will be really close to the limit of collapsing of the inverse kinematics, critical collapse of the system apparently, it will, instead of 170 degrees, no, let's get a multiple of 15, right? So degrees, so that's fine. So that won't be too different, right? So here we see that this is not caused by pole target. This is just inverse kinematics behavior so far that I found. It's just even if you don't have the limits, it start to go crazy like that. So I couldn't find any way to solve this or to improve this. Actually, one way to improve this is the why this is wrong thing. So one way to help the behavior is to use the stiffness, the stiffness. Yeah, but this is just later. First we're fixing these ones. All right. So you see that if we try to exaggerate, it will go nuts. But let's go back to the upper arm. Let's check here the max limit x and see what would be. Yeah, it had rotated a lot, the axis. Control 3, let's see the axis. It seems to be that it totally tilted in some way. Reset all. No, the x axis points in downward, so that's correct. Okay, we can try something different here. We're gonna select the upper arm, Shift S, cursor to active, select the master hands, Shift select this, and rotate R X backslash 3D cursor, transform pivot point. So with this two bone selector, rotate along the local X, and get this, and here we see. Okay, so I should have done this before, folks, sorry. So here we see that it sort of bypassed, but we already know that this happened. Let's see. Yes, I have auto IQ option, but it's not because of that that this happened. I leave it on, but rotate X. So you see that this happens anyways, but let's try here. Okay, just before it crosses there, let's grab this, and yes, so I see what is happening. So this is the limit. You see, it is working, but if it goes a little up, it starts to jump, to leap upward or leap downward, and it starts to try to go to find because it's free to move on the Z, so you need to make the shield, so you have the better way to control this. But okay, so 165 positive, and if I reduce this value, we'll see immediately that start to bring back the limit. So here we can see that how it is affecting, right, just by trying to pull the hand here. And you see we can totally ignore the shoulder bone right now. So Control 3, these axes are annoying. Okay, let's select here and let's go back to the upper arm, 165 positive degrees on the limit X. So this is set. Let's now do for the limit Z axis for the property, right, for the upper arm. Select all, Alt Q, clear all poses, all transforms. So for select the upper arm control bone, then we gonna enable limit Z, and now we gonna all right, what we're gonna do is gonna, okay, so where is the positive and negative? Well, we can just, okay, this is the negative. So these ones are tough because these are very wild. What I would suggest is that this one would be negative 120 degrees, and the maximum, oh, maybe you weren't seeing, sorry. So this is the negative 0 and then negative 120, and this one would be the positive. So see 0 and then blah, 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 get to 180 degrees. Okay, so and this, the positive, we would like to have, I would suggest 150 degrees. So it will be something like this. And oh, maybe this X could be a bit bizarre. So you see, now we have some way to visualize. Let's save here this file that I'm working on. You can save on a different version if you want, but otherwise you can just re-download the original. We can reuse this strategy here. We're gonna grab first the neck and gonna rotate X, RX, just to leave some space here. So this is very important for this pose here. We're gonna, oh, this, you can hide this mesh here, is the unrigged eyebrows if you want. Okay, so let's grab here this again as we did. So we got 3D cursor as the transform pivot point and local transform orientation. So here we're gonna select the master arm, hand, shift select the upper arm, RZ, and so here we're gonna, aha, see, this is working. You see the curvature it's doing there, right? Just to make sure, end panel, let's, well, Alt X actually, collapse end panel. Let's see if the same happen, RZ. Okay, so it's independent of the, because this is in the I key chain of this anyways, right? So we don't need the auto I key for that. Let's keep it simple right now. So it's behaving because it's controlled by the inverse kinematics of the I key bound constraint, right? So it would happen anyways. So you see, hold shift if to see the small hole. So you can see, otherwise you could do too fast, right? So you can see on other angles, rotate along Z. And so that's very interesting. So you see, this is what you'll do. This broken thing could probably be a little annoying. So let's try to, can we maybe improve this thing? Like, yeah, you could do some, but then we have this other one, right? Really, I don't know how to, the X, no, I'm doing Control Z here just to, yeah, so here it might be some weird shapes. The idea anyways, these are still curves, so rotate Z. All right, so the interesting thing is to visualize where is the limit that we want for this arm. It could go even more, right? But then we consider that, okay, you have this, and then you imagine you can still do this. So here don't have the good deforms, right? Imagine, so we have everything covered, right? Here if we wanted, because then we can even go more, I guess. Shifts here, let's see. Okay, never mind. So select all, Alt Q. So we probably, this is what I suggest for here. So select this, select the upper arm, Shift S3, cursor to active, so it's on the head of the upper arm control bone. Rotate Z. This is along the, so this is the positive, right? So that seems good enough to me. So this is what I would suggest. So it's a positive 150. Okay, and the negative now, okay, select the hand, master hand, shift select the upper arm, and then rotate along Z, but now in the negative direction. This one is even trickier, so this can be very confusing because of course the hand rotate. Okay, here I'm gonna rotate manually just the hand. This can be very difficult because you need to like get the torso out of the way. So backslash individual origin. Let's rotate here in some. Okay, reset the Alt Q for the hand. Let's pick this other one, and let's try to get a so it's not really like I can take the torso out of her, of the way of the, so it's like maybe it's something about the anatomy of my character, but of course the shoulder moves like that, right? So this is how we can, so you see it's that kind of works, right? So we can have enough transformation here. So transformation, I cannot take off the the, as I did for the head here, right? Doing this, I cannot just take off the torso, but what I need to do is to change the position of the shoulder in relation to the torso instead, right? I cannot, unless I could sort of rotate this bendy bone so much with the neck, maybe. Yeah, unless I could do a completely weird right curvature of this spine. Apparently I can't, not in this current rig. It's kind of a bit stiff, the chest here. So otherwise I could make an empty part where the arm could be better tested, but it will be very cartoonistic or very unrealistic. So here we see that if we wanted something like this, we'd have to ideally to get the shoulder bone on front. Okay, so this means that this is why just having a little less here, symmetrically less, right? Negative 120 for this curve here, this arc, is just at 120 degrees, but it's on the negative direction. Okay, so this sets up for the lower arm, the upper arm, which, by the way, if you do the pole target setting, is the next stage. We'll be doing the pole target automation. This will break the last bone in the I key chain of the I key bone constraint. In this case, it will break these settings. It will disrespect them, if not totally, like 90 degrees, 90%, it will break everything. So basically these settings will be ignored for the most part, and this is very tragical. and they can't solve this. Is a bug, it's a glitch, is I don't know, it's how it works, and they need to, there are many bug reports already on that. I've made one. Zadik did another one, that famous guy. So Blender Studio and Cloud Rig and it. So, and by the ways, they can solve it. So there is a danger, but even though it don't work with a poll target, it's good to have. Well, if you're doing poll target anyways, don't do this for this bone, right? And it won't matter if you push the settings to another bone and augment the IK chain, then this will be the last bone in the IK chain and it will be broken anyway. So you can never automate this thing properly with the poll target. So very bad. But so here I have, I will be doing anyways, because my idea is not to use the poll target. I'm trying to do a rig without poll target, and so far it seems to be successful. The poll target won't break the other bones, so this is very good one to have anyways, and this will be broken. And this one will be not for the IK bone constraint, but for the auto IK option. So Alt X, right, to toggle this. Now we're gonna test this for the auto IK option. So I already have the limit Y. So to use the auto IQ option, need to use the grab. We need a auto IQ length of 1. So move up, scroll up, right? So right now I don't really see the, so Control S, Control 3. Let's see the axis. Let's also Shift 8, just see it alone. Let's try to use this limit, even though even though we do not see it. So rotate Y. You see, this won't work because this only worked for the other two bones because they were in the IK chain of the IK bone constraint. So this is useless to rotate, because rotate and scale transforms do not trigger the auto IQ option. So what you need to do to test this for the auto IQ option, maybe you can lock IK X and lock IK Z for the shoulder, and then we grab, and apparently nothing happens. So unfortunately, let's augment. So this is weird. I don't know what this is happening, but apparently we can't. Yeah, so I suspect this. Maybe it's a bug, folks. Here I'm really, apparently there's no way that we trigger this through this grabbing. Very weird. Maybe it's because we need at least one. No, it doesn't seem to be. Okay, folks, so I'm not really sure. Maybe it's because of its parent to some other bones that it cannot really rotate, but doesn't make sense to me. It should be free on its own. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave it like that, right? Just a net. No, so apparently we cannot have it responding. So we're gonna start with the limit X. So why for the shoulder I suggest, actually no, sorry, let's start with the limit Z here because it's much faster. What I will suggest here, so the negative is the frontal one, and the positive is the back one. Okay, for the Z-axis. So what this bone is rotated differently. It's bone roll. The Z-axis is pointing up, while for these ones the X-axis, the Z-axis is pointing forward. So they are different. But so this is why these things are different. But we're gonna yeah, Shift H, let's go back here. So this is why this is different, but it won't matter. If we get this correct, we got the right cool shield here for this. So my suggestion here would be, so front is negative, right? So I suggest that here we have negative 45, and positive 45 for the back. So it's very, yeah, it's symmetric, so keep it simple. Multiples of 15, and also half of the 90 degrees, right? Because I don't want the shoulder to rotate full 90 degrees forward. It will be like a rotate Z. So see, this is rotation. This bone is not in the Aiki bone constraint, Aiki chain. So this is why we can do that, even though I'm on auto Aiki option. Rotation transform doesn't, rotation tool, right? The transform doesn't trigger auto Aiki option. Grabbing does, though. So in the grabbing on the, so GZ along local. Something seems weird here. GX. Okay, so apparently, oh yeah, along the x-axis. Okay, so this is confusing because there's a limit Z, but rotate along the X. No, along local Z. Okay, now it is. Okay, now grabbing. Okay, it's because I'm grabbing. I'm not rotating. So this now so I'm grabbing. I'm not rotating. So grab along the x-axis apparently. So here you see the effect on auto Aiki option. If we don't have auto Aiki option on, Alt X, or just click here, then this grabbing will be meaningless, because yeah, there's no and I can do this, right? So auto Aiki option. Okay, so here when I grab an Y, no, I cannot move anything. So okay, so ask grab X, and then I can see the limit. So is that good enough for grab X? Yes, this is good enough, right? I think if you want more, yeah, maybe you can exaggerate. For more cartoony, maybe 90, negative 90, positive 90 will be great. Let's see how that fares. Let's see. Now, actually, Control Z. So let's try negative 90. Just grab X. Yeah, imagine you could do this. Yeah, the deforms were good. This will be not too bad actually, right, for a cartoon rig. But for my this project here, Alt Q, let's just keep it like this, just halfway of 90 degrees. Also because the upper arm is moving a lot already, so this is subtle transforms that will be sufficient. Then limit X. Now we're gonna change these values to a lot. So what I suggest here, this is a bit more complicated, but not too much. We can use the head here. So let's see. Remember, this bone is not affected by the Aiki chain of the Aiki bone constraint. So I need to grab GZ, yeah, GZ in this case. And so, GZ, apparently I have difficulty going beyond for some reason. Yeah, GZ, yeah, it's because of this way of grabbing. Okay, so we're gonna reduce this anyways. Okay, this is the negative. Limit X. Okay, so this is very intuitive. Downward is negative and upward is positive. So I don't want, so let's just rotate this normally. I don't want the shoulder to go like crazy too much. So maybe this is something about quite elevated, but not that much, right? Not something like here. Again, the upper arm does the rest. You can test what should be better for your shoulder, but for the downward, we just want a little, very little, not so. I probably negative 30. So what I suggest yeah, actually even lower, because it's sometimes it feels really weird, this collapsing into the into the chest. So limit x is -15, and the positive would get, I'd suggest, positive 25 degrees. So GZ, so that is the limit here, and that's the limit. So beautiful, right? Very nice. So this is, and now if I grab the bone entirely, I have this thing. So this is, folks, welcome to the auto IK option. So look how cool this is, right? So, and I don't even need an IK bone constraint to do this. Fantastic, right? No bone constraint. So that is a game changer, right? So this is the future of rigging, right? So it's like it's inbuilt constraints, right? So, stuff like that, and you see this curvature, very beautiful stuff. Unfortunately, this needs more developments. Okay, unhide all, Alt H, and select all A, and Alt Q to clear all transforms. Okay, save here. So we got this thing ready, but we need still to fix the stiffness. So the stiffness will is how yeah, it's the stiffness. So the bone will not respond too much. So the best way to test, for example, will be maybe this one. Let's try to mount the stiffness in everything here. And so maybe you don't see very well, but it will make it much slower, harder to respond, while the arm will bend here much faster, here the joint here, than on this other joint. So, or we can do the inverse. So of course, we're gonna make very specific stiffness here, but or we could augment the stiffness a lot here. And now the arm is very fast bending here, but it's very hard. It's more stiffer to bend like here. We can still bend pretty much, but you see that there is some, it will be facilitating, relatively facilitated on the other. So what I suggest here for the upper arm, lower arm, sorry, is for the X axis stiffness. So this is relative to the limit X, I believe. So this is the main direction of bending. This one for in the orientation, actually, both directions. So the brick of the joint, which is a bit tricky to get, but we can do it. Oh, by the way, we need here auto IK length of maybe at least 2, so it's easier to break the joint. Yeah, with 1 it goes nuts, because this bone is like it's still very constrained. This and this, they are in the IK chain. This one is less freer than this one though, but they are very, yeah. So here we can break the joint very easily somehow, and we can okay, so I suggest the stiffness here not too much, so you have more stiffness here, but and then for the Y stiffness, well, I'm not even sure this response, so there's some limit. Let's leave it maximize. It's not 1, but it's this value here, 0.990. Then we have as for the Z, which is this other secondary direction of bending for more cartoony results, or this other brick of the joint, at least downward and upward here, which I can go a lot, right? But not, so we're gonna augment the stiffness to 0.6. So it will be like double of the other. So it will be a bit more harder for it to bend on that direction. And so this starts to mimic, in my opinion, a pole target, besides the fact that the rest position also gonna, you see this is bent a little, and then also on top view, a bit like the pole target idea, even though I don't have a pole target. So this kind of makes the job of the pole target as an alternative. And also they combine well with pole target actually. So you can combine them with pole target, except for this one in the regular arm rig with Aikibond constraint, the pole target will break its inverse kinematics settings, unfortunately. They should fix in the future Blender development, but I think they this is under the hardcore problems, I think. So inverse kinematics is broken in Blender. Okay, so here is like okay, stiffness. So I'm gonna use similar values here. So we want this one to be much more wider rotation. So I'm gonna, instead of stiffness in relation here to 0.3, I'm gonna get 0.15. So half that value. It's have some stiffness, but it's very subtle stuff, right? But it's good. So, and here we're gonna do the same, maximize this. Oh, by the way, you see some difference there, right? But I was changing the y axis on that pose, right? But the stiffness, okay, yeah, I'll leave that one, right? And then the z, I suggest also half, 0.3 of the forearm. So it's like the upper arm is much more aggressive for posing wildly the arm than the lower arm. Yeah. So, and now for the shoulder. So for the shoulder, I would suggest, so here we don't need the hand, so just test with, by the way, yeah, Alt X, and turn on Auto IQ option, by the way, right? Grab, and hold on, grab, and you see the torso is moving is because this is Auto IQ length of 2. Let's reduce to 1. So actually it's move up the mouse wheel up, right? To just Auto IQ length 1, right? Figure out the, okay, so now just the shoulder grabbing is getting this. So it's gonna augment its stiffness here. I would suggest for some reason now, like the shoulder is much stiffer than everything else. So it's stiffer than the upper arm and stiffer than the lower arm. So to start with, okay, maximize the Y stiffness, even though it's not doing nothing now. Then we want here to have more stiffness than this, but instead of doubling, we're gonna do just 150% of that. So it's like sorry, 50% more of this. So it's like Control C, Control V. So it's this, but like well, times, can I do this? Yes. So you have this value here. So we have a stiffness grab on the X. So the X is up and down. So it's a bit, it's quite stiff, but not that much. Yeah, nothing changed here. Control Z, Control Z. Okay, let's go back to here. And then for the, you'll see how this responds well. And then for the Z stiffness, in comparison to this, we'll do the same thing. So it's like we gotta get the shoulder. So instead of 0.6, we're gonna go half more, so 0.9. And so this is very close to this value, but still less. And when I grab, apparently maybe we don't see any result directly, but if I pick, for example, this bone, and I using Auto IQ option on, I use the G Auto IQ length, let's is mouse wheel down. Yeah, so I have an auto I key length of 2. Now I can grab, validate. Yeah, I can grab, and we can probably, it's not, yeah, so there's another way. This is not very easy. Let's grab here, Control 3 to hide this axis, bone axis. Select this and maybe select here. No, sorry. Select, yeah, I remember. Sorry, folks. So with auto I key option enabled, select the hand I key bone, select the forearm bone, and let's G with an auto I key length of at least 2. Okay, 2, exactly 2. No, 3, sorry. 3. So now you see how the shoulder bone is moving, but it's moving very slowly in relation to the rest. This is because of the stiffness, most likely. So the stiffness is very important for these automations when you have a longer chain of bones. When they're not even using lock I key access, because this is very strong. So if I save here, let's turn this all off. So we're gonna do this again. So select this, select the forearm, set the auto I key length to 3, so it includes the shoulder, and you see the shoulder is moving much more apparently. But I don't want this automation. I want as it was before. So just reset. Right, I was doing Control Z here. All right, and so let's visualize this again. Yes, so this is how stiffness works, and so this is set for this. So we're gonna do now is gonna select this 3 control bones, and we're gonna symmetrize. Right mouse button click and symmetrize them, and so now everything, select all, you see they are perfectly symmetrized, and that is how we do this for this. And now we have this arm rig with more advanced settings, and Control 2 to hide these relationship lines, and now save. And now we are ready to go to stage 2, which here's on planning here. So here it is pole target automation. So we're gonna build this. Hold on a moment, folks. Yes, okay, let's return here to the building. So this is this will be much simpler to make this this thing. So basically we need to go on the end panel here, sidebar region. Let's create a new mechanism layer or bone collection, add bone collection, and let's yeah, grab it. No, let's use this parent here. Okay, we're gonna change it to right mouse button click, set this green color here. Let's call this pole, yeah, mechanism pole. Yeah, that's it. So this is a setup that as I've mentioned, I'm not gonna, it will be an alternative. This is why I'm making it in a different mechanism solution. Then we're gonna, of course, control the pole targets, gizmos, bones, we're gonna place in the master rig, by the way, master collection. Also, let me change some stuff here. So I'm gonna, so hold on, this I'm gonna make some changes here. We're gonna grab this right mouse, but let's give it this red color that's relative to I key bone constraint, I key bones, right? And these are gonna make black because it's more beautiful here, I think. Okay, so the deform collection, the mechanisms collection, the control collections. So right now we need to get the mechanisms collections. We have some bones here, but we're gonna make a new one. So I don't want to use this one. Gonna start in this pole here, and we need the control skeleton here, the twig skeleton, Alt H. I think things were hidden here. We need the master also to visualize. Yeah, so we need all the control here, Alt H, and apparently these tweakers are not included in the master. So let's fix this. So select this, Shift G, select by color, and Shift M to control. So assign to that other collection, right? Okay, now we can just use this solo and this solo here. We're gonna make sure we are in this bone collection, and we're gonna go tab on edit mode. So we're gonna create a pole target, a mechanism pole system for the arm, for the automation, even before I create the pole target. So because I don't know, it feels better. So let's Shift S here and cursor to active. So exactly on this joint there, we're gonna add a new bone. Actually, we're gonna Shift D this bone here, this mechanism bone, and I'm not sure where it is right now. So let's Shift Control Alt A. This is B bone size, right? This option here, strangely called bone envelope, or the armature transform. You can assign a shortcut from here, or check the shortcut from here. Scale B bone, right? Shift Control Alt A for me, right? So let's make it very thin. Let's see where it is located. Select here. Okay, so because it was duplicated, it went in some other places. So what I'm gonna do is Alt M. Maybe for you is M. It's move to bone collection. No, move to collection. So Alt M for me. Mechanism just here for now. We're gonna change this bone type. We're gonna Alt B, display type wire, because this is so yeah, it will be better. It will be a differentiator. So this bone looks like this actually. We're gonna change its color in the viewport display on the bone panel. Change this to this grayish color, some sort of teal grayish. I don't know. So mechanism color for me. Then we're gonna now we have a little problems that grabbing this will be a little difficult. No, I was successful. Otherwise we'll have to, yeah, we could like hide this everything, then just pick this, maybe get it out of the way, re-look at this. Now collapse the end panel, select this joint. Let's make sure we get, I don't need this, so individual origin, transforms pivot point. Here we're gonna go back to global, transform orientations, and here we want the vertex snapping, and include it, take this off, include non-edit. So now you can snap exactly on the joints, hold control and snap it. Well, it's going nuts somehow. Oh no, it is just okay. So it's just some weird thing, but it is exactly here. Okay, so the bone is Alt left mouse button click to make sure. So it has a wrong name. Oh, actually I made a mistake here again. I've made a duplicate on the opposite side symmetrically, so we don't want that. So what we're gonna do is select mirror. For me is Shift Alt X shortcut. So Shift Alt X, select mirror. Yeah, you're not gonna use extend this time, so just want the other one. We're gonna turn off this mirror x-axis of edit mode just for now, and X to delete this bone. We're gonna symmetrize them later. It is easier. So try to select the bone here, or Alt left click here. It's this upper arm duplicate here. We're gonna F2 to mechanism pole, arm or something like this, or just pole arm. Yeah, it can be just like that. Okay, so pole arm left, by the ways, and enter. Then we need to parent it because of the pole target relations and restraints. We cannot parent it to the follow the control arm, because this bone is in the I key chain, so it will go nuts. It will create a dependency cycle or something very crazy. So, but we can parent it to the same parent of the control upper arm. So currently the parent of the control upper arm is as connected is the control shoulder. It is right here. So let's hide this twig skeleton. Actually, let's just look at the control skeleton and disable that. Okay, so we're gonna change the parent here. Let's use the control 2 for the relationship lines, right? We're not seeing anything right now. Okay, so yeah, it is. So we're gonna change the parent. Yeah, it has already parent because it was a duplicate. So nothing wrong here. Just don't parent it to the bones which are in the I key chain. So this is correct. For its axis, control 3, we want to align its axis with the upper arm, maybe. Actually, we can do with the upper arm or the upper arm and this, but actually it's one bone at a time, right? So we need to decide, right? So we're gonna, let's do this for the upper arm. So select Shift Alt left mouse button, click the pole arm because like it's for the entire arm. So, and then we're gonna shift select the upper arm bone, and we're gonna shift N, recalculate roll to active bone. So now we've got that pole arm bone, this wire here is has the exact bone roll, or it's trying to match the bone roll of the upper arm. Okay, control 3, we don't need the axis anymore. Now we're gonna before we re-enable that, this is not done yet. Now we still on edit mode. We're gonna look for, well, you can go on pose, control tab to pose mode. Now we're gonna need the twig skeleton bone layer. We're gonna shift select the twig wrist here, which is for fake, it's not F key, right, but it's for tweaking it, to prevent the need of I key F key switching stuff, which I'm not using. This is why this custom rig in a great deal was made for, but besides that, other reasons. Of course, this is not the proper order, so let's go back to the active. The active needs to be Shift Alt pole arm. Okay, so now we have these two bones selected. So basically I'm gonna Shift Control C, add with target a stretch to bone constraint to the pole arm. So just to make sure the pole arm is hold Alt and left click pole arm here. bone constraints. So you see it says a stretch to exactly with this value. So let's, to make sure, let's, okay, this is a quick favorite. You can quick favorite this and solo all. Only works in pose mode apparently. Or maybe I can also do this on here. Let's try unsolo all, add to quick favorites. Okay, this was on edit mode. Q unsolo all. Okay, that works. So you need to do this on both. You need to assign that on both. Add quick favorite in my case, in both, because we can't add a assign shortcut, but we can do this for both pose mode and edit mode. So Q, here is pose mode, which I have already, and solo all. There we go. So we want the mechanism pole and the tweak skeleton. Oh yeah, everything actually, sorry. And solo all, select all, alt Q to reset, just to make sure that everything is clear, so that when we grab this bone and we reset here original length, we see that nothing is not resettable. So this means that this is probably correct. Okay, so now that we have this, let's save here just in case. What this is doing is that this is following the tweak. Actually, I made it wrong, but we're gonna keep it. The target is wrong, but that's okay. And this is a different setup, but it's probably not good. Yeah, we could instead assign that target to a mechanism bone, which should be this IK target, not the IK owner, but the IK target, because the IK owner stays in place following, because it's connected here, while the IK target, you see the IK target, it displays, so it's better for the stretching of that. But right now it's following this tweak wrist, so that would cause some issues, but we're gonna show that later. Okay, in a moment actually. So now we go for the pole target. So tap to edit mode. Let's select this joint here, right? Oh, a lot of bones in the joint. So just select the tweak or C and select this and shift S3, set to cursor to active, right? Then yeah, here we can add a new bone. Yeah, so shift A, then select it, shift control alt S, scale, validate, scale down. Yeah, it can be that. G, Y along global, about here. So here there's two ways to do this. There is usually these pole targets, we will parent them to the master COG bone. Go tap to pose mode. You see this one here. Then it's a gizmo. Actually, it is here, right? Gizmo now is a custom shape, a widget. So we're gonna parent it to the COG, master COG, keep offset. And we're gonna, but we can also parent it, shift alt, hold shift alt, left mouse button click, pole arm. We can also parent it here, but I think this will be weirder. Weirder, but that works. Something about scaling, that if we change the scale of the armature or something like that, the scaling of this go nuts. It's visual, but so I'm not totally sure. Then we can use a limit scale, but then we scale some other bones, it won't scale altogether. So it's a bit messy, this setup regarding this. I'm not remembering exactly what is the case. So let's do this in a bit more accurate way. Let's parent it to here. I'm not certain that this will work, by the way, respect to this scaling detail, but it's a little, really a lesser thing. If you want the automation, this is a very good one. Then with a poll target. Okay, so this is part to the relations here, to the master. I'm gonna change it. I haven't found anything that is good for this, so I'm gonna keep bbone, and we're gonna change it to red. And of course we want a we will like to have for this a widget. So control tab to object mode, shift S to and one cursor to word origin. Let's add shift a empty, that will be a sphere. Yeah, typical sphere. Leave it like that. Move it to here. Should have done this before. F2, so widget wgt hyphen empty sphere, and sphere 00.2. This is 00.2 is just because my scenes are duplicated there. They have, then everything, every object doesn't apply to the bones counting, but the armature, everything that is not data becomes doubles like that. So because, right, and in scene 3 will be stage 3, right, it will be 3 to 3. So it's just because of that. Ignore that. So alright, let's keep this together here. And okay, we can hide this stuff. Then we're gonna control 1 hide this. No, sorry, select the armature, control. Okay, tap to pose mode, control 1 to hide the bone names. Then we're gonna shift alt, select the right, select the bone here, F2. This will be pole elbow left. Okay, that's like this. Then you can name it whichever way you want. That we're gonna go for the key owner here, which is this stick bone there, you see there, not this other one, this one. So you hold out, try to select it. So mechanism key owner hand. Then let's go for the bone constraints here. key, so control C here for the armature, control V, and then pull target the bone. We're gonna use this, and that's it. Now, because of the roles, right, control 3, it's do something messy. So usually here it will be like, you see the elbow is there, so it's probably here it will be negative 90 degrees in this kind of setup, right? Where on edit mode, tap to edit mode, the z-axis is pointing here, so it's like the x-axis needs to point there, so it's like a correction, so it derotates the rotation that it does about 90 degrees or something like that, right? So now that we have, okay, let's shift alt key owner. Okay, so this is set, but now, okay, so the poll target is working already. We'll see where it is ignoring the, well, there's other things happening, but I assure this is ignoring the most of this inverse kinematics panel for the upper arm bone. But anyways, now we need the poll automation, target automation. So if it were parented here, that would work. So if the poll elbow left were parented the poll arm left, which is a mechanism bone, it will be fine. But okay, also let's select this and alt M, move this to the master. All right, just the poll target thing, Let's just make sure we got this right. Include this, so it is back. Also, sorry, this is a bit confusing right now. Viewport display, we just want to add a custom shape. Here is the sphere 002, and here we can use maybe 1.5. No, maybe it's too much, so just one is fine. Maybe it's too little. Yeah, 1.2 maybe. Okay, so then we're gonna, maybe it's too big, so we're gonna change it to something better, maybe a clearer number here, 0.5. Okay, and now we need the just to have it follow this bone in some way. So we're gonna make a fake parenting relation. So Control-1 here, I've just saved. We're gonna select the wire here, the pole arm, and shift select the pole elbow. So Shift Control-C to, right, these constraints, add with targets, Shift Control-C, and we're gonna add a copy transforms for the fake parenting bone constraint. So we're gonna make a before original, then we target to local space, and the owner, this is the custom space, it will use the custom space of the target bone. So this will be like so Control-C for the armature object, Control-C for the pole arm, the mechanism bone. So basically this makes that the pole target will, it's like a offset parenting. It is free to move because of this mix. You can add up the transforms on top of the parenting, even override the parenting sometimes, but with other transforms. But well, that would happen usually by on top if you for other bone constraints as well. Anyway, so local space, this needs to use its own. Actually, it uses the target. So, and custom space, this is like the pivot point thing. So basically now what happens is that if I grab here, this bone is serving as a wall, like a imagine an invisible wall that will allow that not allow that, yeah, that will serve as a reference for the pole target to move. So if I, of course I can change here, and now you see this is a triangle thing, right? And we have full automation here with this. For the most part, this will work perfectly, and we have the possibility to adjust it, right, anyhow. And if I check for dependency cycles, no, nothing, some warnings here, but nothing relevant. So this is the way this works, this automation. So Control-2, let's take off these relationship lines, Control-S. So yeah, the other way would be to parent these two here directly and just ignore this bone constraint, right? It could also work, but then this time I left it parent to the center of gravity, which I think is a bit more accurate. But anyways, here then we need to symmetrize. So on edit mode, tap to edit mode, re-enable this thing, although just to not forget it, shift select the pole arm. Before, let's see, yes, only these are selected. First, let's do something here, Shift M. I want both of them to mechanism pole, Shift M again, just in case. Yeah, I've removed. Okay. I want both of them to be here so that if I need to disable the setup, it is all in a different place right here. So this will be like a special collection, like a still mechanism, but it's more like a optional collection for everything. Okay, but this one we want to Shift M to include it, assign it also to control, assign it to, that's it, just to this. And now this one, Shift M to the main mechanism here. That's it. Now we select the pole arm and Shift select the pole elbow, and we're gonna right mouse button click symmetrize, and that's it. So they should be on their proper collections right now. If we check, we got so control 4 for the for the gizmos. Okay, and then okay, so if I check the masters, okay, if I check all the controls, okay, if I check the control skeleton, fine for now. If I check the tweak skeleton, if I check the mechanism, all right, if I check the mechanism skeleton, okay, just the hands right now, the mechanism mapping, okay, just these ones, and the mechanism pole, just these ones, yeah, for both sides actually. All right, so all this is solved, but there is still one little problem remain. Remember that I made the stretch wrong, so stretch the bone constraint. So if I grab the master I key bone and pose, okay, then I grab the tweak. You see that by posing the tweak, I change the pole target because of the automation, right? This pole arm stretches, and then it moves the pole target. And if I change the pole target first, I can also change the right. So this can be interesting, but this is incorrect actually, because not incorrect, but this is limiting, because actually the I key bone constraint pole target is a feature that should remain, I believe, for my custom rig to the I key posing and not for this tweak posing. So this is why the I key posing of the I key bone constraint more specifically. So this is why we need to pick this bone and change the tweak wrist to actually this mechanism I key target. So F2, bone name, Control C, ESC, select the pole arm, and Control V here to override. And now we have the Control Z just to, so it's a slight change, right? But now if I pose the tweak arm, you see that the pole target doesn't move, and this is much better for control of the rig and the deform. So you see, and I can still pose this individually, but they are not in, this does not interfere anymore, and so this is much better. And yes, there's a stretching here, but that's not the problem, right? Actually, that tells that it is stretching. Another way to, so anyways, select all, reset. Let's make sure that Q unsolo all. Okay, it's all unsoloed already. Alt H, just to make sure no bone is invisible. Select all, Alt Q, clear all transforms. And now I think we need to symmetrize some stuff here, right? Let's see if there's anything that I forgot. No, I think there's everything ready. So folks, now just because we made some new bones here, probably worked on the control skeleton. No, it's just essentially it's just these, yeah, just these ones. And we select of them, we just resymmetrize everything. And now go back to the control rig and select this stuff. So now we are just looking at the control rig, and this should be the final state of this rig. And of course, if you want to disable the pole target, this is a bit more complicated, but yeah, it's pretty simple, but it's annoying. Like, I need to, I don't have an automation for that, so need to select the pole here. No, sorry, not the pole. We need to, instead of deleting the contraption, the good contraption, unfortunately the pole target has this problem that it will negate the last bone in the I keychain, its inverse kinematics, to break it settings, right? The ones here. So this is one reason not to use pole targets if you want some more anatomically correct rig sometimes. So you want the where's the, sorry, mechanism skeleton. So let's click here for the mechanism I key owner. We want to, oh, I forgot to symmetrize that one, by the way. So we want to, we would have to delete, yeah, Control C, okay, delete this stuff, right? So now this is enough to have the rig go back. So all the other stuff that we've made here, they will still move, like, but nothing will happen. So they don't do nothing, right? So that's fine. And it's very easy to retarget, so just get the bone here and armature, and then target the elbow, and then you can of course tap to edit mode, right mouse button click, symmetrize this bone, and this is now the setup with everything working, I guess. Tap to pose mode, Control 4 the gizmos, select all, Alt Q, and that's it folks. And so finally the stage 3, well, will be congratulations, Master Wizard, the world is restored to equilibrium. Okay, this is a quote from a very old 90 games, Magic Carpet. So very interesting game. But anyways, this was the workshop for today. Maybe a bit long, but these are very tedious to make, the inverse kinematics. So I'm just gonna finish here the conclusions. I'm trying to improve the workshops, making more action and less theoretical explanations and demonstrations, but I still sometimes feel like it's important, but probably I should try to reduce this as much as possible. And next time we'll continue from here, yes, and bit by bit, but I'm going to really address now the helper deform rig, yeah, the helper rig for this arm. So I'm gonna include possibly stuff for the shoulder with complex joint, but in the beginning more the wrist and the elbow. And then we're gonna use fan bones and smoother bendy bones, splines, right, as solutions. So we're gonna do this as the continuation. And then if I find some way to, yeah, also fan bones here, so 3 joints actually, but here we would need an even other, yeah, also smoother bones here, but here we even need maybe an armpit smoother bone, many other bones here for this area, but here more about the torso. Essentially we're gonna make fanny bones, maybe here will be very welcome. This is something that I've never did. I did fanny bones for the other complex joint, the hip type joint, but never for the shoulder, and it actually can be achieved. It's very interesting. So I'm gonna be, but this will be like at least two workshops later. So the next one will be on the wrist joint, the elbow joint, and the shoulder joint, but still not more complicated. We're gonna make stuff simpler, but that are quite interesting. So that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Hope that was improvement. Please leave your comment, your feedback, your critique, whatever, whichever. I've decided to continue doing this. I think it's very interesting production to make this kind of online workshop. Thanks for watching. Take care and happy blending. Have a nice weekend. Good morning, Wong Ren. Sorry, I haven't seen the chat during this record. I have to improve this. So sorry. That's it for today, folks. Here is at night, actually. So good morning for you. Here is good night for me. So see ya, folks, and have a happy blendering. That's it. Thanks for watching.